No, I love Ireland, and then when I land there, I feel at home there. I was there so often that my driver that would take me around, his name was Paddy O'Toole, and he would meet me in Galway and meet me at Shannon Airport, and if he wasn't there on time, the taxi drivers knew me at this Shannon Airport, and they'd say, "Kevin, we haven't seen Paddy yet this morning." And so I'd land, and they'd say, "Paddy will be here." So the taxi drivers would keep me entertained until my driver, Paddy, showed up.
Oh, my word.
I am so excited for you to listen in on this great conversation with Kevin Devanney and Sara Douglas. Kevin is the owner and founder of Incentive Travel Solutions, a company that simply just goes over the top with corporate incentive trips to some of the most exotic and lavish places around the world. Evidently, he's the only person, at least in recent times, to ever book a private event inside the Vatican. During COVID, of course, travel came to a standstill, and he had to figure out a way to pivot his business in a new direction, and he did, to say the least. Now travel's back, and his travel company is stronger than ever. There's some great nuggets of the entrepreneurial spirit in this episode, and marketing and social media. And for my YouTube audience, if you'd subscribe to our channel and like the video, it'll help us grow our podcast to new audiences as we continue to build out this little Nessie podcast. I hope you enjoy it. Well, Kevin, give us a little bit of an intro. Who are you?
Yeah, Kevin Devanney. I'm here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Our office is in Pineville, North Carolina, close by. 25 years in the travel business. Incentive Travel Solutions is the company. We put together President's Club trips for companies all over the world. We've operated trips in 107 countries now. Our 107th country was Malta.
Wow.
Pretty awesome last year. 106th country was Cuba. So operating great trips all over the world for peak performers, top performers at companies. When people really want to spoil their top performers, we make sure we pull it off. So then COVID hit. 25 years in the travel business, and then COVID hit. Kind of put the brakes on travel around the world. Planes stopped, people just stopped traveling, and what do you do when COVID hits? You open a restaurant, right? That's what crazy people do. So we were actually going to open a wine shop, and some friends back in St. Louis said, "Kevin, we're throwing wine into cars and into trucks left and right during COVID, And so we said, let's open a wine shop. We own these historic, beautiful buildings in downtown Pineville. So it said, wine shop. And then the big deal that really kind of broke us or made us who we are is the mayor came to us and said, "Hey, we need a restaurant in this town, and I want pizza." So I said, "I got a pizza recipe." So we brought in a pizza oven, and we started opening restaurants.
Not just a pizza oven, but from Italy.
From Italy, from Sorrento. So my buddies over in Sorrento shipped me a pizza oven in 12 pieces. We put together the pizza oven. So during COVID for 2 years of shut down travel, we ran Margot's Wine Pizza and Market in Pineville, and it's been very successful. From the day we opened the doors, it's been fantastic. So
because it's delicious and the ambiance is amazing.
Ambiance is amazing. So it's really a big part of it.
Yeah. But back up about 4.5 minutes. You pronounce your last name Devanney?
Yeah, it's Devanney.
Okay, got it. Okay, we can move on. I just wasn't clear on the pronunciation
you want me
there.
to clarify how I ever told you that to you? Really?
Yeah.
Are we going to do that?
We sure, yeah.
Nah, I was back in high school. People called me Devanney. It was always Devanney, and I don't know why. I guess Devanney, but Devanney. It's Devanney, maybe because the E is in there, so Devanney. And I was telling people it's like van, like get in the van, and then Devanney.
I think there were
and then finally I had to say it to some girls, and I said, "Bitch, get in the back of Devanney." And then people started remembering it, so I started using that as a way to. People to remember my name, and they don't forget that. So,
Sara, quick little intro from you.
All right. Well, I've been working with this guy over here for about 4 years, almost 4 years, I guess it is coming up. And, we met for marketing. I've been doing marketing for, the last decade or so, media and events and different things like that. And ran into him as he was opening Margot's, and he was like, I really need I really need somebody to help me get this restaurant off the ground. I've got a travel business. We go all over the world. Once we get this up and running, we're going to get travel back up and running. It's going to be, So I was kind of like, I don't know, but it seemed like there was a lot going on in Pineville. A lot of people had a lot of good things to say. And so, man, I jumped on, and it's never been a dull moment ever since. So Margot's incentive, Garrison, and now a rooftop coming up. So yeah, so there's a lot of stuff on the horizon, and it is just never boring.
So your restaurant right now, prior to being a restaurant, was kind of your corporate office for the incentive travel company, but it's in a downtown historic area, Pineville here in Charlotte. And it's a very quaint, just the old school street with what you would think would be little mom and pop antique shops. Yeah. And it really was. Why did you pick that place as your incentive travel corporate office? Because right now, with it being the two restaurants, Margot's and then next door eventually became the Garrison, what made you pick that place as your corporate office when it's really not really a good fit for a corporate office because it's perfect for Margot's, but it's a beautiful space?
Yeah. It's really funny. I'm not that smart a guy, but I didn't have the foresight to, wow, this is going to be fantastic one day. But 15 years ago, when I bought the building and then 4 buildings down the row, that was not the cool thing to be in. The small towns in North and South Carolina and across the country were not the hip thing. And it was boarded up. These buildings were boarded up and empty. Wow. And I think if you think back 15 years ago, people wanted to be uptown in all the cities across the country. There was a big rush for urban and revitalizing uptown cities, and Cleveland and Detroit and St. Louis and Chicago and all these old cities. It was a big rush to renovate old brick buildings and red buildings and to be in the uptown and have that vibe. And then COVID hit, and then all of a sudden now all the small towns are really, I'm telling you, what we did is what everybody's trying to do right now.
Yeah.
We tried to get into Spartanburg right now. Spartanburg, South Carolina is really hot right now.
You're trying to get in there for what?
Well, we want to maybe open up more restaurants. And so we had the idea about 4 years ago. Well, when we built this, so last couple of years, say 2 years ago, to start moving into small towns. We like the model that we're in. We don't want to put a Margot's in a future strip mall or in a, we love the historic value of our building. 110-year-old, charming, old general store. I could put it in an old house. I could put a Margot's in a 125-year-old house in a urban area and feel good about the character of that.
Yeah.
So we like the character of the building. And so I didn't want to be in a strip mall. So we started looking at small towns. Well, everybody else had the same idea now. So people started moving COVID out of the big cities and into the small towns. So Spartanburg, South Carolina is hot right now. But
if there's one thing that I've seen with you, Kevin, in the business world, is you give everything 100%, right?
Yeah.
And when COVID hit, you were faced with a pretty difficult decision, right? You and I chatted about it, and so really the restaurant thing came out of necessity, because travel shut down. And so it's not like that you have to pick and choose, but Margot's blossomed out of COVID, and you've given that 100%, and it shows. I've been there more times than I can count, and it's an awesome restaurant, and the Garrison is as well. But would you have been able to kind of create that? You've been in hospitality for more than 2 decades.
Yeah.
Would you have been able to create those two and that vibe, and just kind of, without the experience that you have in hospitality and the travel, would you have been able to do that as successfully as you have?
I don't think so. People walk in to Margot's from South Africa and say, God, I feel like I'm in South Africa when I walk into this place. I've had people from Austria come in. We have a group from the big Charlotte Austrian market. They come in from Austria and say, this feels so European, so Austrian. People come in from South America, from Guatemala or Honduras, and say, gosh, I feel like I'm at home. So people feel like they're at home. And we've created events in 107 countries around the world, Italy 63 times, different castles, different experiences. And we've created these fabulous events. And so every night I walk in there, I play with the lights, I play with the volume, and it's always an event every single night. I don't feel like I own a restaurant. I feel like I own an event center every night. Every night is a new night. It's a new event. It's a new challenge. It's a new group of people and new experience every time. So it's always what we've created around the world in Mexico for you guys, or when we were in the Bahamas or in Miami, or if we did it in Cincinnati. It's going to be an event. It's going to be over the top. It's going to be once in a lifetime. It's going to be a great experience for everybody every night.
Yeah.
Would you say that you eat at your restaurants daily while you're there?
I think I do. I think I do.
Which is a good testament. I mean,
Hence
you
the
want to like
run
what you
club.
eat.
Yeah, hence the run club.
We
that
can
I
always
used to
tell what kind of a mood he's in by what he's eating. You know, like if it's a
Give us examples. Yeah.
all right, if it's like a gluten-free pizza day with black olives and pepperoni, he's in a good mood. You know, it's good. If he's eating like a salad with grilled chicken, it always seems like those are the days those manager meetings are really just on fire. Not necessarily in a great way. We're probably he's just serious, got a new idea on it, or just something, So it's funny by what he eats or by what he doesn't eat. Maybe if he's not eating that day or something. So it's like, what's Kevin like today?
So let me tell you about this girl, since she's talking about me. I'll change this up. And this is the challenge coming in here with you, David, because you are the marketing guru. In my mind, anybody that I've ever met in marketing, you're the guy that seems to rise to the top. And anything I've ever learned in marketing comes from you. I am not a marketing guy. I am a creator of events. I am in hospitality. I like to take care of people. I like to be one-on-one with people, or one-on-one or one with groups. I like to work with people. Marketing is not my thing. So that's why I brought Sara on, because I knew nothing about marketing. I knew nothing about sales, but not how to create a restaurant. Or now I'm learning about the restaurants, the travel side of the marketing side of travel. And that's why today's a challenge for me, because you two together can talk a language that I don't know anything about. I really don't. Oh. The difference between sales and marketing is a conversation I would love to have, and how they work together, but how marketing is not sales, and you got to have that sales guy, but you have to have the marketing guy to set it up. But I don't know the conversation that you guys would have without, leading into that.
So the theme to kind of the guests that I'm going to have on my podcast are going to be business owners, people in leadership, senior people that have led people, leaders, people in the mortgage industry, and people in marketing.
Yeah.
One of those four things in common type thing. You kind of have them all, but I've been finding that a lot of people, and not just from the few podcasts that we've done, but really just been in the mortgage industry now for 15 years, that some of the most successful people, whether it be in mortgage or restaurant or incentive, it's a testament when you've gotten to a successful place without knowing marketing, And so if you can sprinkle that in, and, sky is the limit, you've been a pretty successful dude in your businesses. And if you kind of really want to take it to another level and grow an empire, then that's where you go with marketing. But it's a testament to someone that's been successful in business, in sales, without really having that marketing mind. So hats off to you. I've got headphones on. I'd take my hat off, but
no question. I mean, I see the challenge there. Not having been in marketing, but being the guy that was commission-only sales. And if you didn't eat unless you sold something, and then worked my way up through the sales organization, and then see the marketing side guys and saying, and seeing the fight between marketing and sales, and saying, no, you guys get out your butts out on the street and try that, and don't eat unless you sold something. It's kind of that way. That was from the sales perspective. But now, having owned my own businesses and now seeing it from this perspective, now I'm looking back and going, oh, I see the great value in marketing now,
right.
Especially because she brings it in,
Kind of what you're saying. I mean, truly, Kevin is an idea guy, and he has a new idea all the time, and creative. I mean, all of his ideas have, come to fruition nearly. We're about to open this rooftop bar, and, we were really talking about that 3 years ago, but we talked about expanding other things. I mean, he makes things happen in a very short amount of time. I think, with him bringing on me and other individuals who do different things and have different skill sets, he's able to further those ideas and make things happen more quickly. But, he's had those ideas. He's done all those things without, a full marketing or, teams like that. So, kudos to you.
Yeah. Did you know that about me, Kevin? And I think when you're in sales or business owner, and you're talking about the tension between sales and marketing, and the more you understand both, the more you're probably better at it. And did you know that about me? I used to be in sales.
I didn't know that. No.
11 years in sales in the home security industry.
Okay, got it.
I did both. I kind of did both sales and install. Sometimes one, sometimes the other. Sometimes both. When I owned my own business, I'd be running wires. I'd sell the system. I was like, when can it be installed? Right now. But
didn't that make you a better marketing person?
It did. Yeah, and that's where I'm going, because I have that knowledge, that empathy that you kind of need to understand both sides of it. When you understand what it takes to move that business forward from a sales perspective, but then on the marketing side, when maybe you've got some blinders on and you're not seeing the bigger picture, that's what makes people more successful, the more well-rounded they are.
Yeah.
Tell us about your journey into how you got into the incentive travel. I would imagine you would need a decent amount of capital to start a travel company, right? I mean, because you kind of have to front a lot of money for trips. And how did you? Yeah. I mean, did you find financial sex? Ooh. Wow!
That was my fourth business I started.
Did you? I've done that more than once when I've been interviewing people. Did you find financial success to the point where you had significant capital to be able to start that, or it was just all loans or Ponzi scheme?
Real estate. I don't know if it's like this in the real estate market. Maybe you need a little financial to start, but we sell service. We're a service company.
Yeah.
We don't sell a product, so we don't need a Shark Tank type investment for inventory or a product. I sell a service, and the way my company works is my clients give us a deposit in advance for the trips, and so I never needed a financial gain there. So,
gotcha.
And so we had clients almost right off the bat.
Gotcha.
So we had some deposits. And so financially we were successful from the very beginning, solid anyway. I don't know about successful, but solid from the very beginning. And no, kind of just off and running, 3 years working out of a garage. Incentive Travel Solutions, it's literally, this, Microsoft, 3 years out of the garage. And then first employee worked in the living room. She set up at a coffee table, and then second employee, it was time to get an office.
Yeah.
And so 4 years into it, we were out of the garage and into offices.
Kevin, top 3 places to not just for you to travel personally, but to take organizations on an incentive trip.
Yeah. Well, Italy, we've had 63 trips. I've been there. 63 trips to Italy in the last decade or so. And so it's an easy sell, but it's also so fantastic, like you would imagine it would be. I could talk about European destinations. I could talk about different places, but I always talk about 3 places that when you're ready to raise the bar, if a company has been running incentive trips, like the mortgage company that you and I met through, and they're ready to really raise the bar, there are 3 destinations that I say you can go to and say, wow, this is, it's a dollar value, but boom, okay? The first is South Africa, okay? So going into the safaris of South Africa, going into the bush and going up into Zimbabwe or going into the country of South Africa, flying into Cape Town, I'll say Cape Town is the one city in the world that exceeded my expectations more than anywhere else.
Wow.
I knew Cape Town. Okay, cool. Great city. Let's go down South Africa. But when I went into that city, I was like, wow, this is fantastic. The wineries, the penguins that they have in South Africa, outside of Cape Town, the restaurants, the hotels, the modern parts of Cape Town and the old parts of Cape Town. But Cape Town exceeded my expectations. So the combination of Cape Town and a safari really raises the bar. So that's number 1. Yep. Number 2, Australia, New Zealand. Okay, that again, just
those are
maybe
one
for Americans. Yeah,
you're
but
grouping them together.
You can do Australia by itself.
On the same
trip. You can do Australia by itself. You can do New Zealand by itself, or combine the 2.
Yeah.
If you have the time. But taking a group to Australia, maybe it's just so different for Americans, But to go to the Great Barrier Reef up in Port Douglas, and then 2-hour flight over to Sydney and explore Sydney and everything Sydney has to offer, and the wonderful people and the wonderful culture that they have down there. That just really, to me, is another destination that long way to go, but really worth it. And people don't talk about, those are flight trips that people don't, long trip, people talk about the flight beforehand, but they don't talk about the flight afterwards.
Yeah.
Because the destination is so fantastic.
You're just on a high still.
Yeah, you don't talk about the flight. The flight was, you slept. And then the third destination is Bora Bora, Tahiti, and going out to
Sold.
Tahiti. Yeah, and that's halfway to Australia too. So, but Bora Bora and the islands, it's probably Hawaii 60 years ago. So before Hawaii built up with all the coastline. And so to be able to stay in a over-the-water bungalow on the water
Bucket
that
list.
you've ever pictured, and being on the island of Bora Bora where there's a dozen restaurants after all these years of travel and not that much really, just, one or two great restaurants, but it's not overly populated and not built up too big, but and to be able to travel amongst the islands of Tahiti, especially Bora Bora in particular. But
How many locations have those over-the-water bungalows like they have in Bora Bora? Are there many?
No, the United States down, I understand that off the coast of Miami, off of Florida, there's some over-the-water bungalows.
Really?
A resort that just built up down there. I have to look into that a little bit more. And then I think Mexico is building a resort that has some over-the-water bungalows. If it's not already open, it might already be open. But there's one or two that have tried to replicate it, but somehow Tahiti has really mastered that. The water is so perfect in Tahiti. So the water, when you stay in one of those over-the-water bungalows and you order room service, they bring it in a canoe up to your room.
Really?
And then
No, I wouldn't know that.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And then also the floors are glass so that you can see the fish swimming underneath your in your room. So those are three wows. I mean, South Africa and Australia and Bora Bora, those.
Have you heard of any stories of aggressive fish/sharks in those areas where they have those over the water?
No, we've swam with the sharks. We've swam with the stingrays. We've swam with the pigs.
Oh,
and
stingrays.
The
You say swam with the pigs? You've done that?
I've seen that.
Groups have really wanted to do it.
I don't get it.
I've seen it. I still don't get it.
Dolphins, yes.
I don't need to swim with a pig.
Pass on the pigs.
No, I don't.
What is the allure?
I don't know. They're big pigs too.
Yeah.
They're big pigs.
No.
I don't.
I equate that to getting a massage from a goat. You've seen those, right?
Yoga.
I kind of put those on the two same. Yeah.
No, I don't. I don't promote it, but people will say, "Can we do it?" And if they really want to do it, then I'll take them over there. It's usually a side activity for a group of individuals. But
I know that we have anytime that we've traveled like somewhere different or new, we're like, let's ask Kevin. We'll come to you and we'll ask you for advice of places to go, things to see. Because you have such a vast knowledge. How many countries have you been to?
You said earlier.
Yeah,
190 something?
107 countries right
No,
now.
that's where you've taken trips to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've been to 107, and that's usually where I have been venturing off to. My next couple in my mind, if I'm always thinking ahead, and I always am thinking forward, Dubai. I haven't been to Dubai, so Emirates, and I haven't been to Slovenia. Right now is a hot destination for Europeans. And Slovenia. And, Croatia now, Americans are now starting to travel to Croatia. That was a hot spot for Europeans initially. And then Americans catch on. And then we, of course, swarm everything. So we beat it hard after the Europeans have found something. And so Slovenia now, we have a European-based client, a fabulous company that we're working with on their incentive trips. And they have asked us to look into Slovenia for one of their incentive trips. So, yeah.
So it means you'll be going.
I guess I got to check it out.
I mean, if you gotta.
Yeah.
How many countries are there in the world?
200 and something.
200.
I got a long way to go.
Well, no, there are 206 bones in the body. Maybe that's maybe
In the hand. And maybe in the hand. Yeah.
maybe like 204.
So you've been to two?
Almost halfway, probably. Close to halfway.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to gauge.
Yeah. I was looking at the A's because I was looking down the list, and I don't know that I'm going to make it to Algeria or,
Well, you've got a special place in your heart you've tried to pitch Ireland to me many, many, many times. What's the special place in your heart with Ireland for you?
Well, as me mother said. No, I love Ireland. And then when I land there, I feel at home there. I was there so often that my driver that would take me around, his name was Paddy O'Toole, and he would meet me in Galway and meet me at Shannon Airport. And if he wasn't there on time, the taxi drivers knew me at this Shannon Airport, and they'd say, "Kevin, we haven't seen Paddy yet this morning." And so I'd land, and they'd say, "Paddy will be here." So the taxi drivers would keep me entertained until my driver, Paddy, showed up.
Oh, my word.
But Paddy is the one, Paddy O'Toole. He was from Limerick, and he told me stories as we were driving, funny Irishman with great stories. And that's the draw of Ireland are the people and the stories.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's natural. It's not, let me set up a storyteller. Irish like to tell stories. Can you tell? We talk a lot. We tell stories. They're fun. They're fun people. And at the end of the night, they get in a little fight. And the next day, we're fun people again. But Paddy O'Toole told me stories about Liam Devanney, who was the greatest Irish hurler out of Limerick. And so I said, all right, if I ever have a son named Liam, I'll name him Liam. And I did. So I got to name my son Liam Devanney after the great Irish hurling champion in Limerick.
How many times or how many trips have you taken to Scotland?
To Scotland?
Yeah.
I've been there twice.
Where? And what?
Glen Eagles and into Edinburgh.
Okay. Did you do trips? Yeah. You took companies over there?
Yeah.
What did you do?
The highlight for me in Scotland was we happened to be there during Tattoo. Do you know what Tattoo is?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, really cool. Like,
yeah. And you went?
Yeah. Oh, that's one of those
I've
things.
still never done it.
You haven't?
Oh, bad Scotsman.
You were young.
I was young. We talked about doing it a lot a couple years ago. No, I grew up I was born in Glasgow. In the first 4 years of my life, I was in a small place right outside of Glasgow called Wishaw.
Okay.
Then I moved to Prestwick. You're probably familiar with Prestwick, big airport. And then at 7, I moved to England, Gateshead, which is right outside of Newcastle.
All right. I know the beer.
Yes. Yeah. So you told us your top 3.
Yeah.
I won't ask your bottom 3. Let's call it the most challenging 3 that locations. I'm gonna guess probably Disney World is one of them, or Bahamas. Bahamas was the first trip that you and I did together.
Let me think about this. Portugal. Yeah, I struggled in Portugal.
Why?
I was there about 10 years ago, and Portugal was under a dictatorship until about, don't write this down, probably 1978. And so a country that was suppressed and the people were suppressed. And so to all of a sudden want the highest level of service out of your servers and your restaurant owners and your tour guides, and to find people that really want to take you around the country, we found it. We found it as best we could, but still you can tell it's not what you have from a country like Switzerland or Ireland, or people that are so enthusiastic about their country from people that were, not allowed to be happy about their country for a long time. And so we really struggled with the service level in Portugal. I understand it's changed. However, when I left there, I was asked never to come back again. So I am.
There's a story there,
I am
too.
going. There is a story
Wow.
because of the service level. I was very vocal and needing better service.
No,
I'm heading
not
back
you.
over there in June, and I am going to see for myself what it's like. But I really struggled there. The Caribbean. You have to understand the mindset in the Bahamas and in Jamaica and in the Caribbean islands that it's slow time, right? And being on time is not a priority for them. But for my clients, that when we say the cocktail reception starts at 6:30 and they're walking towards the cocktail reception at 6:30 and the bar is not set up yet, you start to panic a little bit. So, yeah. But then you get used to it. So you tell the hotel that it starts at 6 o'clock so that it can be ready at 6:30, So timing, that's the struggle there. Timing and service level that, we expect.
So let's talk about this, and I think we'll end with this. Your business, the incentive travel, is very much a B2B, but you kind of operate in the shadows. You want all of the credit for an incredible trip to go towards your client, ABC company hires you to do their trip. ABC wants all their employees to know that we pulled this off, but you and your company and your staff do an amazing job behind the scenes, and you ingrain yourself with their staff, right? You're an extension of them. So when you're pitching new business, it's tough to do that because you're starting from scratch each time. So how do you win new business other than wearing your fancy socks, walking in with your loafers and your cufflinks and your Kevin Devanney swagger, but you're starting from scratch, getting that new business every time without having this track record online that you can see, because you can't see a lot of the stuff that you've done, the amazing stuff that you've done online, because you don't take the credit for it. You want that credit to go to the companies. You're almost operating invisibly. So when you're starting from scratch, so what kind of sales hat do you put on when you're trying to win that new business?
Yeah, you got to know your audience for sure. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell the story about walking into Electrolux, a Fortune 500 company, and sitting down with the president and the CEO of Electrolux America and the vice president of sales, and coming to talk to them about their President's Club trip and a lot of their trips, of which we were doing about 15 a year with Electrolux alone, ultimately, when we got the business. And we sat down at a boardroom table that sat about 25 people, and me and Sarah and the president and the vice president of sales sat down, and we never opened up a book and we never looked at a presentation. We sat there and we talked for about an hour and a half, and we laughed a little bit, and we told stories, and we talked about, Italy, and we talked about a little bit of the travel they've had and what they expect and what we expect out of them and their customers and what we want to do for their customers. And, we got their business, and they said we were the only one that didn't give a presentation, and it just was about sitting and talking and really getting to understand the person. So for sure, we have to be able to walk the walk. We have to be able to book your airline tickets and book your hotel rooms and the transportation from the airport to the hotel on time. Participants never pick up their luggage. Being there and being ahead of the game and creating fantastic tours and doing things that are outside of the box. But it starts with the relationship. People want to travel with people they want to travel with. Okay, you don't want to travel with someone that you don't trust or that you don't know intimately. And so developing that relationship, as is all sales, develop the relationship with your customer and get to know them, and they get to know you, and then the trust gets built, and then you execute. You got to be able to execute. And this is a very difficult business to execute in travel. 4,000 items on the checklist for every trip. Bring up a golf course and they want to do a golf outing. Rental clubs, right-handed, left-handed. Golf balls, coolers, shoes.
Wow.
Closest to the pin, longest drive. I mean, every single thing we do has 25 questions to 30 questions that you have to answer, and then execute it, and then hold off the rain. And what if it does rain? And then what about lunch?
Wow.
What's
and
the
then what about
backup
beer?
and-
And what's the backup? And what's the third plan? And so you have to have those plans. So you got to execute. You can't just talk the talk, but you got to be able to execute as well.
I love how you responded to that, because I think that's what sold me on incentive travel. Because I've, since no longer working with you on incentive travel trips, since 2018, 17, 18, other companies I've been at, I've sat in front of other people, and there's just something missing. It's all about, and this is true for mortgage professionals as well, it's all about relationship. And it goes back to what I said about if you can be successful in sales and business ownership, really without having that marketing hat or being intentional with marketing, then you're doing something right. And then you add in, you carve out some budget for marketing, and the world's your oyster. But without that relational piece, I think you're kind of just, treading water and just barely staying afloat. And so in my opinion, you've nailed the most important piece of it, and that's building relationships.
Yeah, I think if Sarah can tee us up, if the David Kings of the world in marketing can tee us up on the sales side and get the salesperson that there to the front door, then you got to have the person that can walk in and close that deal and build that relationship. But now I've learned the marketing and sales sides of it, so I see how they work together.
We can talk more about it at the beach.
I mean,
In Bora
Wait,
Bora.
Bora?
Well, right, sounds great. Or your beach house. A little more local.
Bora. I like it over there. Let's go and check it out. Well, restaurant called Bloody Mary's over there. That's where Marilyn Monroe filmed the movie Some Like It Hot in the restaurant in Bora Bora, and it's a sandy floor-based restaurant over there.
Oh, that's
that's where I
amazing.
want to have the next meeting.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
just
Deal.
send us a travel itinerary.
I need to see the little Nessie budget.
Well, I think we got a lot of good stuff. I think I honestly want to already look at dates in the future to have you guys on again, because we've known each other for more than a decade. Sarah, you and I haven't really engaged much, but we've known of each other now for 4 or 5 years. So there's a lot more to unpack, I think. And the nuggets that I'll pull out of this, and people will pull out of this, from, hospitality to running a business to sales to social to SEO, I think is pretty awesome. So thanks for joining us on the Little Nessie podcast.